Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been probably too long. Welcome if you are new. I am Ariel Sampson and this is Herbal. If you are old, thank you so much for coming back. I'm so excited to have you guys back here with me again. I am so proud of the community we've built here. It's very small, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm okay with a small community for right now. I'm hoping that I can share my knowledge as much as possible. I have a lot of changes happening in my life right now. I'm going to finally just be an herbalist and not be doing two things at once, which I'm really, really excited about. So if you're ever in Philadelphia, come find me so that we can show you all the herbs I can help you with and all these other things. Anyway, things are moving in a positive direction. I'm incredibly happy about the direction we're going. I might actually be able to make more videos now, which is going to be so exciting. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Ariel Sampson again, and I am a clinical herbalist with a master's in therapeutic herbalism. We'll get more into that today. This is my question and answer video, and then I'm going to do a tarot reading at the end, just to make this more interesting, because I didn't really get that many questions. I got a reasonable amount of questions, and I'm really excited to answer them because, questions, My hair fell out. Sometimes I just don't want my hair down, Let's put that back up there. Just tie that like that. Like so, like that. Alright, we got it. Alright, so let's go through these questions. And of course, all these questions were asked on Tumblr. If you have any questions, put them down in the ask box and I'll get to them probably the next video or something like that. I love your questions. A lot of people think they're bothering me with their questions, and they're not. I love answering questions. Now, I don't like stupid questions. I do believe in stupid questions. Stupid questions are questions that have already been answered, and you heard the answer, and you still ask the question. It's just kind of like, okay, like, it's a stupid question because you didn't ask me to reiterate it. You just asked the same question twice. But anyway. From there, let's start. Okay, so I only have like 4 questions, so I'm just going to answer these questions and then we'll do the card reading. So the first question is, what is your advice for people who feel called to begin making/learning about herbal medicines but don't know where to start? Okay, my advice for you, and as weird as it sounds, is to do research. As weird as that is, for me, I randomly got called into herbalism. It was the most random thing, and if you've been here a while, you kind of know the story. But I was watching Practical Magic, and I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to learn about herbs. So I looked it up to see if herbalism was a thing and looked up books. And the first book I got was the Herbal Medicine Maker's Handbook by I want to say David Moore. I just get it. Oh, I'm sorry. James Green. Completely wrong name. Anyway, this is my first herbal book. I ordered it online. I said, you know what? I need a handbook. And this book was awesome. And when I actually did eventually go into my herbal program, this was the first book they wanted us to get. And I already got it because I was doing the research. So it has really cool, it tells you all kinds of stuff. I literally sat there and I went through and I started reading the beginning, and I was like, I'm just going to work through this book. Ooh, dusty. I was going to work through this book, and I was like, I'm just going to work through it. And so I did that, and the first thing he said was to go outside and pick dandelions, because most people don't realize that dandelions are not only a weed, but they are medicinal. They have medicinal properties, and they help with the gut and detoxing, and it's just a really good nutritive herb. It just gives you so much benefits, and we just throw them away and cut them down like they're just some terrible weed, but they're not that bad. So anyway, do your research, go out, look at plants, maybe get a book for identifying plants, and just go out and find random plants in your neighborhood and identify them. Start to look up what they do. I think the biggest issue with the herbalism right now is that a lot of people don't know how to decipher whether or not research or the research that they find is accurate or not accurate. It's kind of difficult. Feel free to ask an herbalist. Some people will just, give you answers. I'm the kind of person that will just give you answers. It's kind of difficult because you can find information on something that someone has tested out, and it may not necessarily be the actual truth. So it's one of those things where discernment is hard, and reliable resources. You don't want to discount the resources of multiple people, because multiple people make up kind of a study in some way. So like if everyone is trying something and it turns out okay, it's completely fine that it's completely fine that you look at that as some sort of information, whether it's information on what people think or information on an actual herb and what it does and things like that. If you start to see the same kind of effect on multiple people, you can kind of make an inference that maybe the way people see it might be incorrect. But for the most part, if you want to be safe, I would stay away from the WebMDs and the those kind of places, because they're always looking for negative effects, and there may be one journal article on something bad that happened to someone that has other factors involved, and they will attribute it to that herb. Like it even says that ginger makes your stomach cramp, and it's like, okay, but like ginger is literally indicated for helping stomach cramps, so how does ginger make your stomach cramp? It's important to either talk to an herbalist, use your discernment, or find journal articles, and don't just go off of just the one article on WebMD or MedMD or whatever they call themselves nowadays. So anyway, that's the first thing. So long story short, if you want to get started, I would just start on I can't keep this down. Anyway, I would start on just doing some research on plants, getting to know them, drinking teas, learning which things do what with your personal body. And the more you get to know the plants, the more connected you'll feel. Alright, let's move on. We're going to move on. How does your culture / relationship with your ancestors manifest in your practice in herbalism, if at all? Okay, so for me, my family, I come from a long line of healers. My family is literally all nurses. I mean, I have some people who are different things. Like I think we have someone who's a bus driver, and we have my mom is a business person. But my aunt, my dad, my cousins, a lot of my cousins are healers. They are nurses. I have a lot of nurses in my family. And so my family has this healing energy that, and not to say they don't have, what is wrong with people? Not to say that they don't have their issues. Of course, everybody has their issues. But for the most part, when it comes to nurturing people, my family is really good at that. And so a lot of the time, I think people who come into my space and they get a herbal consultation, or they come for a yoga class, they find that I have a healing presence. And I think that comes from my family. Technically, they're my ancestors, so I just wanted to give them an honorable mention. But for me, when it comes to herbs, most of my stuff, I think, comes from my ancestors. I think that when technically the herbs are talking to me, but also sometimes I think that my grandmother may whisper something in my ear, use this. Or sometimes I feel like my mom's mom, my granny, she, I called her Granny. It's so funny because I think her name was Annie, so she's Granny Annie. Anyway, sometimes I feel like she'd whisper in my ear, use this, but do it this way, So sometimes my ancestors, I think, are there in the kitchen with me, or there in the lab with me when I'm trying to make my herbal remedies and things like that. So the way that I use them is more I feel them with me, and they guide me through it, because no one wrote anything down in my family. No one took the time to, really have that herbal knowledge passed down. And my mom sometimes tells me things that my grandma, Annie, my granny, used to tell me that they used to tell her when she was growing up. So sometimes I use that in my healing of other people, because a lot of the time your ancestors' knowledge can be passed down to you if you're willing to hear it, but sometimes it's hard to hear. And I think, speaking from a lot of people in the United States, some people are really lucky and they had a lot of knowledge passed down from parent to grandchild and all that stuff. But many of us have lost so much because of how this country works. A lot of us have lost so much information that may have been had before but not passed on, because people couldn't read or write, or like one of the parents in that misstepped may not have cared about herbalism, and so the grandparent wasn't able to transfer it down to the grandchild or anything like that. So I honestly like to think that most of my ancestors kind of help guide me when I'm trying to learn herbalism, especially the herbalism that happened here in the United States, from people who are descendant of chattel slavery, because there's so much of it that has been lost, and a lot of people they don't realize that a lot of the herbalism that we have today is based off that herbalism that they had, because they had to trust each other. They had to find a way to heal each other in a place that wasn't really trying to heal them. This place was mostly trying to use them as experiments, or just kind of get them well enough to be used. But it wasn't a healing space, so they had to create their own healing space. They had to learn their own herbalism. They had to use what they knew from where they came from, which is not something that people really talk about enough, I think, especially in the herbal community. Like, African American herbalism isn't even its own sect, but it should be. Instead, it's just lumped in with Western medicine, and it's like, we're not the same. This is a medicine created by people who was taken from everything they used to know into a whole nother climate, in a place that they don't even understand. And they had to learn how to heal themselves by themselves in the midst of all the shit that they were, I just cursed, I don't care. All the stuff that they were dealing with, they had to figure out how to heal themselves, and they did it, and they survived. And so a lot of the time, there's this reverence for me from my ancestors when I'm doing my herbalism. There's connection to the past when I'm doing herbalism, and that's kind of how I use my ancestors. But I'm not sure if that's what you meant. I'm sure that, it does manifest in that way. So I guess that's the answer to that question. I hope it was helpful. If it isn't, just ask me again and I'll figure out how to answer it correctly. Alright, are your herbal practices rooted in hoodoo or any other traditions? My herbal practices originally started off as European-based Western medicine, because that's where all my information came from. That's where everything I have learned has come from. Moving into after I became an herbalist, my herbal practice, I've never really been invested in hoodoo specifically. I've never actually said, I'm a hoodoo practitioner or anything like that. In fact, I think I had come up with something called Sassafia that I technically practice, and it's just what I call it. I don't even know if it has a name, but it's technically like I'm from Maryland, so technically I'm from the South, but it's essentially herbalism for people who don't live in warm climates, because a lot of the time what we do is we group people up together into one group, and it ignores all the other people. I was talking to someone and they were saying, it's all the same. They were talking about what they were talking about. Sorry, I'm not actually saying words. They were talking about how, they're a hoodoo practitioner and, the stuff is the same. And they were saying stuff to me and I had no idea what they were talking about. Like, I had no idea what this stuff that they were talking about was. I had never even been into a brujeria or whatever. I don't know anything about that. And I realized that there is a difference between the herbalism and the magic that I know as opposed to the herbalism magic that's in the South, because Maryland is South, but it's not really South. Like, we go through winters and there's different trees and different plants. There's stuff I've never tried before. I never even had a mango until I was like way older. And I feel like even though they want to be inclusive of all Black people, which is great, and I love that, our version of herbalism, our version of witchcraft, I guess, is a little bit different, because our climate, our environment is very different. You know, the history is a little different. I mean, it's partly the same, but a lot of it is very different. And so, you know, stuff that they experience, I have never experienced. You know, the plants that they're used to, I'm not used to those plants. You know, I have to learn about them, and I'd have to go somewhere else to see them in their natural habitat. But like for me, so anyway, I essentially came up with the word Sassafia, which is based off of sassafras. And it's essentially herbalism that's rooted in the Black family being together, using their joint collective, I don't want to say powers, but like their spiritual gifts in order to, I don't know when my camera died, but in order to, heal the family and bring them together and give them what they need, we need to come together, because there are spiritual gifts that each person has. Like, I think that when me and my husband come together, like, we heal people. Like, we bring love and joy into their lives, as weird as that sounds. And that sounds really strange, but and kind of sounds cocky, and that's not what I mean, but I just feel like the love that we share emanates and people can feel it, you know. And he has his spiritual gifts, his psychicness, his amazingness, you know, his intelligence. I love that about him. You know, I have my spiritual gifts, my feelings and my nurturing and all that stuff, and it comes together to create this beautiful, and it doesn't have to be a man or woman, I know that can, but what I'm saying is that two people coming together to heal the people around them with their spiritual gifts, their oppositeness, but that oppositeness working in tandem and complementary together. I had been really thinking about this for a long time, and I never really came up with exactly what I was talking about. But I also don't believe in there being like this, like a head of anything, not necessarily a head, but like a tandem joint healing with two people using what they know to heal the community. You know, people coming in and getting what they need from you, and them working together to make sure that people can have what they need. You know, whether it's, you know, plants or, you know, like food, or, you know, like just this nurturing atmosphere. Because of those two people, because I don't feel like it just needs to be one, it needs to be two. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a man and a woman. That came out wrong. That's not what I meant. I think I only said that because me and my husband, you know. Anyway, but you know, just two people coming together to heal their community, because you need two to balance each other out, you know, and they don't have to be the same, you know. But anyway, like, I think I'm going on a tangent. So Sassafia as a whole is just a name that I came up with for just like this ancient spiritual practice that's rooted in ancestry and love, but also kind of just specific to the northern part of America, because I think that there's a little bit of a difference in how people interact with their day-to-day up here. You know, I can't grow plants all year long, you know, and it is a mix of European information and native information and African information. It's a mix of all three, really, because that's what we had to learn in order to be here. But also, like, I've been contemplating it for years, and I still haven't really figured out all the details about Sassafia. So anyway, that's essentially the tradition that my herbal practices are rooted in. If you have more questions on that, let me know. I'll try to make a video that's more detailed and more like so that it makes more sense about Sassafras. I know a lot of people were really interested in Sassafras, but I've been having a hard time articulating it and what it is. It's more like a sect of hoodoo, I guess. If you want to really put it into words, it's technically a sect of it. But also at the same time, it's different because it's in a different place. That's all. It's different because the culture is different. It's not 100% different, but it's a little different. Like, I never really liked sweet tea. Don't hate me. Don't come for me. I just never liked sweet tea. But I do like half and half. So, that's technically sweet tea, but with lemons. So anyway. Next question. How do you build relationships with different plants/herbs? Do you think it's important to build relationships with them before using them in workings in medicine, or do you think that you can work them the same regardless? All right. This question I can actually answer very well. Anyway, first of all, we'll start with the first question here. How do you build relationships with different herbs and plants? Building relationship with herbs and plants, there are a few ways you can do that. You can grow plants in your house or on your porch or outside or in the forest. Wherever you want to grow those plants, grow them, nurture them from seed, and grow them up. Get to know them, talk to them, make them feel safe, and then utilize them. Start to feel how they feel in your body and connect with them. You get to know those plants, their energetics, how they, live, all the things about them. That seems like a lot because you'd have to grow a lot of plants in order to do that. But that's one of the ways. Drinking tea is another way to get to know. I think I'm thirsty. Drinking tea is another way to get to know each plant and how they live and how they work in the body. Taking the time to utilize them in tinctures and teas. Now, we're not giving to other people, but actually turning them into tinctures, turning them into teas, turning them into salves and things like that. Those kinds of things. These birds are doing this on purpose. I know it. Sparrow medicine. They're trying to talk to me. They're trying to tell me something and I'm ignoring them, and it's bad. Anyway, I think the sparrow that's making that noise is pregnant. So, anyway. Oh, gosh darn it. Oh, no, it's still there. We're still good. Okay. So taking the time to make those things. Now, you can make those things. I wouldn't give them to other people, but if you were to take them for yourself, you get to know those plants, you get to understand how they work in the body, how they work with you, what they are used for. For instance, when I was doing my herbal program, I had to take devil's claw, and I had to use devil's claw in different ways, and I made it as a tea. And it tasted like poison as a tea. I would never give anyone devil's claw as a tea. And the reason is because it tastes like poison. It is awful. I did have to give my husband that the other day just because he was in so much pain. But it was a last resort because, But it's one of those things you have to get to know them. Build a relationship with them. And then they'll actually want to heal. And then you know who to give them to. You don't want to just give anyone any herb. They won't talk to you if they're not meant for that person. But first you have to learn their language. Learn, when it's not your head and when it is your head, And it all comes with trusting your instincts, which is something a lot of people have trouble with. And it almost sounds like I'm not saying anything, but trusting your instincts when talking to herbs or when you're looking up for an herb for someone. And sometimes what will happen is you'll hear, you need St. John's wort or something like that. And then you look it up. Do I need St. John's wort? And you'll find out that herb actually does help this problem. And then you know that voice that the way that voice is speaking in your head, that's not your voice, that's the voice of the earth talking to you. Or maybe an ancestor. All you know is that it's not you, and that's the thing that you need. And so, you know, building relationships with plants, the way you do that is by actually doing it like you would a friend, getting to know them. Like when you talk to a friend, you don't just decide you know them. You talk to them and get to know them. You use them. I mean, you don't use them, but you know, you ask them questions. You experience life with them, and you would have to do the same thing with a plant. The only thing is, it can't talk to you the way we talk to a person. So you would just have to experience life with that plant. You know. Is it important to build a relationship with them? Yes. If you're going to use them and like spells and stuff like that, you're going to need to know that plant. Like you can't just use a plant and a spell and expect it to do whatever you want. You know, you have to get to know that plant. They're going to be like, who are you? Why are you asking this of me? Like, you know, like stuff like that. And sometimes that plant may not vibe with you. So if that plant doesn't vibe with you, then you're not going to be able to use it in that spell. It's not going to work. Or it may work, but it may not work to the best of its ability. Because it's like, who are you? I don't even know you. You don't even care about me, you know? But when it comes to like getting to know them, drinking them in a tea, you don't necessarily have to use them when you're sick. You can use them when you're sick. Like let's say you want chamomile tea to calm you down. It's still going to calm you down even though you don't have a relationship with the chamomile. But through drinking that tea for yourself, you're building a relationship with that tea. And then thanking the tea for its life, thanking it for its essence, and it helping you that way is a great way to build a relationship, build this gratitude with this plant, and that plant will feel your gratitude and it'll appreciate you and you will appreciate it, and then you guys become friends. As weird as that sounds, and I know that sounds weird, but it is what it is. You know, it is what it is. So essentially you can use them if you need them, of course, because plants are generous and loving, and they create oxygen for us. They create nutrients for us, and you know, they use their adaptations to help us also adapt in this world, because they're like our grandparents. They've been here for a long time, and they're able to talk to us in that way. Also at the same time, am I making food? No. But also at the same time, you know, building a relationship with the plant can make spells stronger. They can make your medicine stronger. And not only that, it just makes everything involving plants so much more sacred. You know, every time you drink that tea, it's more sacred. Every time you smoke that pipe or whatever you're smoking, makes it more sacred. Every time you experience life with that plant, it makes it more sacred. So I think it's an important part of being an herbalist is actually building a relationship with the plant. But it does not mean that you can't use it. You can still use it, because every time you use it, you're building that relationship. But once again, I would not give that plant to anyone if you haven't built a relationship with it, because that plant may not vibe with their body, and it may not do anything because it's not vibing with them. So a lot of times I prefer the custom orders rather than the already made orders, because I don't know if that plant's going to vibe with that person, you know? So those are all my questions. This video is going to be long. Apparently I didn't even need that many questions. I'm glad I didn't have that many questions, because that would be annoying. Alright, so let's do this card reading. Whew, I'm experiencing some things right now. Alright. Alright. Let's see what we got. Now I'm just going to do one card reading for everybody. And whatever happens, happens. You know, if this reading vibes with you, then it's your reading. You know, if it doesn't, then it wasn't meant for you. You know, I could do that thing. Ooh, got some messy stuff happening soon. That's great. Awesome. All Alright. It smells so good. It smells like ramen, and that's all I ever want all the time. And now I wish that my husband would get me a pack of ramen. I should send him a message before he leaves. Oh, another one. Alright. Apparently we got a lot of stuff going on today. So let's see what happens. Or I just can't shuffle. Alright, what do we need to know? Please give me an accurate and honest answer, free of all bias and only of the highest possible vibration. For the highest and greatest good. Alright. Let's see here. So for those of you who don't know, the way I do this is I use my clairsentience to be able to pull out cards. And I'm going to pull out 3 more because I was going to originally do that and those ones fell out, so they must mean something. So. Ooh, that was a lot. Alright. I think there's another one in here actually. Ooh, that's one. Okay, alright. No more. I don't want to do any more. Okay. Alright, so I gotta look at these because I don't know what this means yet. Hold on, let me look at these real quick. Alright, so we have the Hermit and the 9 of Swords came out, they fell out. And the ones I pulled is the Fool, the 2 of Swords, Strength card, and the 4 of Pentacles. Alright, so it looks like right now is a time of reflection. Specifically here, I guess for someone, right now there's a time of reflection happening where you need to reflect on all the messiness that has happened so far in the past. Now, but when you reflect on this messiness, this actually was upside down. So this is where I'm going with this here. It's one of those things where, like, the way I do this, the way I do card readings, is completely unorthodox and not like any other card reader ever. And so don't judge the way I do this. I don't follow any rules ever in my life. So yeah, this is just how it goes. So this was upside down. Anyway, we need to reflect on the messiness that is the past, the things that have happened in the past. Take the time to reflect, but not from a view of naivety. It went off again. So anyway, we're going to reflect on the past year from a place of experience. We are now experienced people. We don't just, base everything off of what we, like, of newness. Because now we know. We've learned from many mistakes and all the weird, messy things that have happened to us. God damn it. We've learned from all the weird, messy things that have happened to us. We've learned from all the difficulties in our life, and it's important to look at it from a place of experience and knowledge, and we're not going to fall into the same, sorry, my brain is all over the place. We're not going to fall into the same patterns that we fell into before. We are going to start moving in a better direction. We are not going to be blinded by doubt and things of that nature. We're going to be moving in a place of strength now. We're going to be utilizing everything we know to actually get to where we need to go. A lot of the time, what we will do is that we'll see that something happened and then we'll forget about it, and then we'll continue to move in a space that isn't necessarily vibing as high as it probably should be vibing. And that's something I noticed from my husband. He's paying more attention to his energies and the energy surrounding him. And he's not moving the way he was moving before. Because when you fall into the same old patterns, you end up with the same old thing. But it's difficult to run out of that space because you've become so comfortable in that space of negativity, so comfortable in that space where everything is just not working the way it should be. But we're so comfortable living in that space of negativity that when we do our shadow work, when we work on our shadow work, we see it as this negative thing. We say, oh, shadow work is so scary, shadow work is so hard, things are so difficult, I hate this. And yes, it is hard, it's very hard, you know, but if you don't do it, you end up stuck in those same old patterns. And you need to view shadow work as a positive thing. You know, when I deal with, this is kind of a sidebar, because the end of this is essentially when you work on yourself, you know, the blessings come in all directions. They flow into you, they move into you, they continue to flow. But you need to be ready to not fall into those same patterns. So when I do shadow work, yes, I do remember some of the bad things that happened in the previous of my life. Yes, I remember some of those negative traits that I've had. But instead of looking at it as a negative thing, I look at those traits as learning opportunities. Okay, this is how I moved then. So how can I move differently this time so that I don't fall into those same patterns? Shadow work can be hard and scary, but it's not that bad. Looking at yourself in a negative light isn't necessarily the way to get through it. Looking at yourself in the light that shows you who you used to be and who you can be now is better. Looking at who you will become, which will be something stronger, beautiful, better, amazing, like that's the purpose, you know? And understanding that purpose helps you walk through the fire. And it's hard, you know, to move and break through those barriers, break through that ugliness, that stuff, that messiness, you know. Trying to break through is hard, but you're experienced now. You've done it before. You just gotta keep doing it. You know, you gotta keep breaking it. And when you mess up, don't get mad at yourself for messing up. It's okay to mess up. You just have to, you know, fix it. You know, let's say you snap at someone and you fall back into that old behavior. Then you come out of it. You say, I'm so sorry for snapping at you. It was not your fault. I was dealing with some things. I am so sorry. How can I, you know, whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is, you know, the point. All right, so my camera completely died and I wanted to get this done, so I'm using my phone now. And so we're gonna finish this reading and then we'll just finish the whole video, and I hope that you don't have an issue with this. I'm trying. Okay, so when you heal from past traumas, when you're working on yourself, it's hard. It's hard. It's okay that it's hard. But the fact that you're working through it and you're doing it and you're becoming better, that part makes you like so much better than you think you are. And it's important for you to recognize that you are this better person, that you're this person that is doing exactly what they need to do to heal from family traumas, to heal from past traumas, and you're passing that love to your children, and you're becoming just this new person, and blessings are going to rush in and follow you, and it's beautiful. So focus on the future, focus on who you can be. Woo! I almost fell. Focus on who you can be. Focus on the person that you're going to be instead of focusing on the person you were, because you're no longer that person anymore. You're walking in strength. You're walking past the blindiness. You're becoming this better person. You're strengthening yourself. There's no more hiding from who you truly are, because who you truly are is this most beautiful, most divine being filled with love and light and healing. And you're going to heal the world, and you're going to follow in your purpose and become better. And so it's important for you to recognize that part of yourself, who you are becoming, who you are, who you will be. And that person is who you are. So be ready for blessings on the horizon, and keep working, keep walking in experience, walking in who you were always meant to be. These other cards were determined to come out, so I'm going to show you them. The Mother of Pentacles, someone who is knowing and nurturing and loving, and in the person you have become, the person that you are becoming is this person. And you will have the vision that you need to get where you need to go once you've stopped being clouded by all these negative thoughts about yourself. They're not true. They're not real. Those are all just the ego trying to pull you down to where it is, and not connect you with your spirit self, your actual true self. So recognize who you really are and start walking in that light, you know, that light that is who you truly are. And I hope this reading was helpful. I'm not even sure if it made sense. Sometimes when I'm reading the cards, I'm not really speaking from my brain. And so I don't know what I said. I have no idea what I just said. I have no clue. But I'm hoping that it was understandable and digestible, and I hope that it makes sense for you. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and let me know if there's any other questions you have. I can add it to my next video or whatever you need. Thank you guys so much for supporting me the way you always do. Thank you so much again. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Bye.